According to developers, Assassin's Creed Mirage is bringing back Eagle Vision. This spells endless possibility for the game, especially with stealth, and, if done well, marks a true return to Assassin's Creed back to its roots, as they're marketing this game to be. So in this video, we're going to be discussing just that, Eagle Vision within Assassin's Creed Mirage and how I think it will work in the game. Do I think it will work in the exact same way that it did in the older games? Or do I think it's going to work a lot more like the eagle that you have or the crow that you have in the later games? All that and more in this Assassin's Creed Mirage video from the XR. If you're new to this channel, press the subscribe button to stay in the loop with everything Assassin's Creed and much more. Right, so Eagle Vision. Do I think it's going to be exactly like it was in the older games? For example, Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, Revelations. I think it will be very reminiscent of those older games, and I think it will fundamentally work in a very similar way. But I think it will majorly incorporate the eagle drone mechanic that we've had in the most recent games like Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. How can we have Eagle Vision and then also have the drone bird mechanic? Because the drone bird mechanic was brought in to the most recent games as a substitute for Eagle Vision. You know, you could get a bird's eye view, tag your enemies. Then once the enemies were tagged, you could also see those tags when playing as Eivor, as Cassandra, as Bayek. So before we go into my speculation on the incorporation of the two systems, let's talk about what I think is going to be just as pure Eagle Vision. And actually, let me word that a bit better for you guys. I think they're both going to be incorporated together, but before we look at those together, let's look at the one main topic of this video, which is Eagle Vision, and then we'll look about how it's going to be incorporated. Oh my god, I can't speak. Not corporated, incorporated. I missed the IN, mate. So I think it will work in a very similar way as it did in the older, let's say, Ezio games. You hold down Y, or you hold down whatever button it's going to be. It might not be Y, it might be some other button, but you hold down the button or you push it, you go into an almost Sixth Sense type of view, and if the NPC's red, it's an enemy. If the NPC's blue or grey, it's not an enemy. If there's a hidden location that you can't find, then it's probably going to be in yellow. Well, or golden, whatever it was. I'm actually colorblind. That was Eagle Vision's main purpose in the Ezio games. As we got to games like Unity, Eagle Vision was less used for finding hidden places, hidden objects, and more used for tagging enemies through walls. So let's say you're about to go down into one of the Paris catacombs. You can hear a commotion going on in the distance, so you activate Eagle Vision, and then through the walls you tag the enemies. You see them in red. You know their whereabouts, you can see them moving, and you can get a much better idea how you want to progress within the catacombs. In that game, after a while, those enemies would then disappear, and you'd have to use Eagle Vision again to see where they were. In my opinion, that was just to add more of a challenge to gameplay, so you couldn't just know where they were at all times. Also, to not convolute what's going on screen. So that's essentially Eagle Vision. Of course, if you want to look into lore, you want to look into more gameplay, there is more to it than that, but essentially that's what it comes down to. Now, with the drone mechanic in the later games such as Odyssey, Origins of Valhalla, you could control your pet bird basically, and it was either an eagle or it doesn't matter what animal it was, but it was a bird, and you could fly it around, you could scan the area, you could focus in on locations, objects, more importantly enemies, and you could tag them. Then when you go back to controlling your character, you could see where those tagged enemies and locations were, making for navigation through the place you were at and completion of that area much more easier. And again, one could argue, well, there's more to the drone mechanic than just that. I know, but that's what it is when it comes down to it. That is what it is, essentially. On paper, I guess. So, now we've looked at both mechanics, and we know the Eagle drone mechanic is going to be in Mirage. Let's see how we can incorporate them two together to get a good idea of what it's going to potentially be in Mirage. So I think the Eagle mechanic is going to work in the exact same way it has in the most recent games. You can tag your enemies, you can see potential locations, and stuff like that. And I also think Eagle Vision is going to work in a very similar way as it did in Unity. You can activate your Eagle Vision and locate nearby enemies in the proximity of the area, but just like in Unity, they would eventually fade away and you'd have to do it again. So what I think it'll be is you can locate enemies in your proximity using Eagle Vision. They will fade away. So if you want to tag those enemies, you then go to your Eagle drone mechanic. You can then tag them, mark them, so that they can stay on screen for longer. Also, while I talk about this, I have an even better idea. Well, I don't know if it's better, but a further idea to what I've just stated. Perhaps to be able to tag enemies using the bird's drone mechanic, you have to first use your eagle vision to be able to see them in the proximity. Once done that, you can go up into your bird's drone, you can focus down and tag them. Or maybe it works the other way around. You can't see them with your eagle vision unless you first tag them as the bird. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, I'm just thinking out loud. As interesting as that sounds, it also sounds like it could be a bit too convoluted. Like, we don't need two systems, we kind of only just need one. So, perhaps eagle vision will only now be used for locating, I don't know, Isu artifacts or places, hidden doors, hidden traps, stuff you need to find. Maybe eagle vision is now used not for visual things, not for visual targets, visual markers, but instead to listen in on conversations. Perhaps they're bringing back interrogations and eavesdropping like they did in Assassin's Creed 1. Maybe you go sit on a bench and you're going to eavesdrop to enemies. They're talking about their plot to assassinate someone within your order, so you need to hear what's going on. You sit on the bench, you activate eagle vision, you can then hear much more clearly what they're talking about. Maybe after eavesdropping them, you need to pickpocket the key that one of them has. Again, activating eagle vision, you see a golden shimmering key on the NPC's belt. You can then go over and pickpocket that thing. Now you know where on the person the item is. So maybe eagle vision is used for more in-depth things like that, and then when you want to tag enemies, find out what's going on, that is where you use your drone eagle mechanic. I think if I was to make an Assassin's Creed game and I had to have both mechanics in the game, I think I'd probably do it like that. Give each thing its unique purpose, while also not taking away from the other mechanic. I see in a lot of games you'll have multiple mechanics, but then one can just do both things a lot easier than the other, so you neglect the other mechanic, because what's the point of using it when the other one is so much better? So again, if it was up to me, I would make a mechanic where they do very similar things, but you need each one for something specific. You can't use the other for one that you need the other one for, if that makes sense. Have them work with each other while being uniquely different. You can use one without the other, but you won't want to use just one and not the other because you'll need them for such specific different things within the game. I guess it's like walking and running in the older games. You can walk if you want, you can run if you want. You're not going to do two at the same time because that's impossible, but you will have many opportunities to use both within the games. You're tailing somebody, you're going to probably walk. You're running through the buildings, you're not going to walk, you're going to run. That's just a really weird analogy and comparison, but what I'm saying is, they're two different functionalities, but you use them both equally in their own right. That's how I think eagle vision and the eagle drone mechanic should work within Assassin's Creed Mirage, and is that how I think it will work when the game comes out? To be honest, I could see it being that way. If they really are bringing back eagle vision as well as the drone mechanic, I feel like it kind of has to work in a way like that. And how do I feel about that? Do I think that's how it should work? Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna have both, have them both be in the game and have them both work well. As much as eagle vision was probably better in my opinion, I do think the bird mechanic within the most recent games wasn't too bad of a feature. I don't know, I could get hate for that, I'm not too sure, but at the end of the day, it worked well to tag enemies, to find locations, and even just to explore the world from a bird's eye view. Like, if they bring that back, we maybe won't need it, but it's a welcome addition in my opinion. It's there. Okay, bring it back, bring it on, I'll play it. And how do I feel about bringing back eagle vision? I love it. That's what we had in the older games. In a way, it worked in with lore and gameplay. From a gameplay standpoint, it was great to see what's going on around you to have a more awareness. From a lore standpoint, you had this extra sense that not many people had. You were a gifted assassin, and the fact that you ended up becoming a master assassin was probably very likely due to the fact that you had this extra sense, this eagle vision. So yeah, bring it back, man. I mean, at the end of the day, Basim is the reincarnation of Loki. He has Isu DNA, so it makes sense for him to have something such as eagle vision. Will Ubisoft do it well? I think there's a chance that they might not mess this up. I mean, it's something they've done in the past. They've got these systems here. So if they incorporate them well, I think it can be done well. Of course, that being said, we've had older Assassin's Creed games that have all the DNA for a great game, and they seem to ignore those when making games now. So they have got great things that they do neglect. So whether they recreate Eagle Vision in a way that just doesn't work well, isn't good, and sucks, it's time will tell, you know, it's yet to be seen. We will find out. But to be honest, I usually don't have much hope when it comes to Ubisoft because, again, I don't think they're a good company. I love the games, more importantly Assassin's Creed, but yeah, I don't like them as a company in the current climate. And usually I don't think they do innovate. As I've said, I don't think they do very well anymore, but I do get a feeling that maybe Eagle Vision and the Eagle Drone mechanic could be working well together in this game. As I said, time will tell. Who knows? Let's find out when it comes out. And we'll talk about it then, I guess, as well. Love you guys. If you're new to this channel, press that subscribe button so you don't miss a video when I do upload, and stay in the loop with everything Assassin's Creed Mirage and much more games coming soon. If you enjoyed this video, press the like button. Did I say that already? I don't know. Press it anyway. Ha! Let us know down below in the comments your thoughts on this. Do you think it's coming back in the same way I do? Do you think it's coming back in a different way? I want to know your opinion. I want to know your thoughts. Let's build this community. May the Father of Understanding guide us. Haha, yes, mate. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.